You're listening to the Sisters in Loss podcast, a faith-based grief and loss podcast for Black women, where you will hear stories of miscarriage, infant loss, stillbirth, and infertility to learn there is a testimony in tragedy. You will learn how to heal, gain clarity, find hope and peace, and turn your pain into your purpose after loss. I'm your host, Erica M. McAfee. Welcome to episode 58 of the Sisters in Loss podcast. In today's episode, we have Courtney Arlesia, who shares her second trimester miscarriage and how she is being patient in the wait. Courtney is a native of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and creator of Endless Love. She started this in 2012 to motivate and inspire all women to get in tune with themselves and find solace in their creator. In this episode, Courtney shares how her second trimester miscarriage affected her and how she is being patient while trying to conceive. This episode is for you if you are currently trying to conceive and waiting for your rainbow baby. Here is Courtney Arlesia. Thank you, Courtney, for being on the podcast. So for everyone listening, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I am a social worker. I have my master's in social work, and I actually work in parenting education. And I've been doing that since maybe 2012, 2013. And I also work at a behavioral health hospital, part-time, but just working in the mental health field as well. Outside of that, I'm a writer, an author. I am releasing my first book next month. Oh, wow. And it's an affirmation book for women. And so I'm really, really excited about that. And so outside of being a social worker, I am really into empowering women and helping them become the best them that they can possibly become, and, just getting closer to God and growing constantly.
Awesome. So what is your book called, and when will it be available?
So the book is called Glow Up Sis Glow Up, and it's a 31-day affirmation book that is just kind of focusing on, affirmations beyond I'm beautiful and I'm kind, but affirmations that kind of hold us accountable to become the best us. You can pre-order the book right now at my website, which is CourtneyArlesia.com, and Arlesia is spelled Arlesia. Mm-hmm. And then it will be available on Amazon and Kindle on April 20th.
Awesome. So I'll make sure I have all those links and everything available in our show notes so everyone can help and support Courtney and go out and purchase her book, her affirmation book, which is awesome. So take us back. Tell us about your loss story and how it impacted you.
So my loss story actually happened 5 years ago in September. I was 23 years old. I was single, actually. I had just graduated college. I was the first in my family to graduate college, in my immediate family to graduate college, let me say that. And I was very active in church, very involved in ministry. And a month after graduation, I found out I was pregnant. And I was devastated. I was ashamed. I even stopped going to church for a little while because I was just so ashamed of what had happened. But I worked through that. And I felt like the moment that I had came to terms with my pregnancy and okay, you're going to be a mom. I was 23, so at this whole time I'm thinking oh girl, you got it together, you're grown. And God definitely gave me a wake-up call to let me know that I wasn't grown and I did not have it together. Mm-hmm. But so when I came to terms with that, okay, I'm pregnant, I'm about to be a mom, and it's time to grow up and get it together, I feel like I lost him right when I got to that point of being, okay, this is what's going to happen. So I was 18 weeks and 7 days pregnant when I lost Caleb. It was a second trimester pregnancy loss. And so I actually had to be in labor as a normal 9 months. And so I was in labor for about 12 hours before he actually came. That is one of the most devastating things I think I've ever experienced in my life.
Wow. So did you have cervical incompetence?
Yes, I have an incompetent cervix. Mm-hmm. And so normally they don't find out about that until you have your first miscarriage. And so, I was actually experiencing different things too leading up to the miscarriage. And so they would say things like, oh, well, maybe you're just dehydrated. But I did have a moment of where I just started bleeding randomly. And this was like in my first trimester, I believe. Right. I don't remember exactly when that happened. But when I went to the doctor, they were just pretty much saying, pregnancy can just bring about anything. You never know what you're going to do with pregnancy. And so they didn't see anything wrong with him. Right. Actually, the day that they found out that I was actually in labor, let me say that. So that was September the 6th. They were actually getting ready to send me home. They were just like, okay, you're dehydrated. You need to go home and drink some water, and you have a UTI. And so they were about to send me home.
Wow.
Until the doctor actually came back and was just like, let me check your cervix before you leave. And then when he checked, he said, I feel the umbilical cord. And so I was just like, what does that mean?
Wow.
And he didn't answer me at all. He said, we're going to send you to labor and delivery. And so when they sent me up to labor and delivery, that's when I found that I was actually in labor and that I would be having a baby. Yeah.
So how was that experience going through labor? Were you able to hold and actually spend some time with Caleb after you actually delivered him?
Yeah, so labor was so hard for me. And I think when I was going through the motions, like so many of my family and my close friends were there. My child's father was there. And so the room was just filled with so many. And I'm such a protector and making sure everybody else is okay that I wasn't really so much concerned about my feelings at that moment. And so I remember thinking to myself that, if I just detach myself from this, then I'll be able to get through it. I'll be okay. I'll be fine. And then something happened where I ended up being in the hospital room by myself. I don't know where everybody went and why everybody had left me, but I was by myself. And actually, it was just me and Caleb in the room. I remember I just started screaming for somebody to come into the room with me. And that's when I asked them to let me hold him. So if I could go back and change anything, I would actually go back and change how long I held my son, because I did not hold him that long. I didn't spend that much time with him, but my family and my friends that were there, they did. But I was trying to, get myself through that without having to. I feel like if I didn't hold him, that I would be okay, But I had a super awesome nurse that she told me when I held him, she said to me, she's like, I wasn't going to let you leave this hospital without holding him anyway. And I wasn't going to let the morgue come and take him without you holding him. Mm-hmm. And, she talked to me and she said, you're going to have different emotions. You're going to be angry. You're going to be sad. You're going to be joyful some days. You're going to experience all these different emotions. And so her words kind of have stayed with me through these past 5 years and kind of helped me through my healing process with that. So that day was so tough for me. I remember when the doctor came in and told me that I was in labor, I just felt real numb. My mom was there with me. They were talking, and I remember just kind of like getting silent. Like you hear people talking, you're there, but it was just like I was like an out-of-body experience of it. It just seemed so unreal, like that was actually happening.
Wow. Yes, I completely understand about that out-of-body experience. I know that feeling all too well when it comes to going through actual full-on labor, being in labor pains, and then going through a birth of a baby that that they can't do anything with after it comes out. They tell you that I can't do anything. They can't intervene or anything. So I understand those feelings all too well. Today's episode is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook and 30-day free download by visiting audibletrial.com/Erica. I have been loving Audible. Most recently, I listened to Angie Thomas's The Hate You Give and Darnell Elmore's No Ashes in the Fire. If you love listening to audiobooks or are curious about what an audiobook can do to enhance your driving experience or your workout experience, visit audibletrial.com/Erica for more information. So after you gave Caleb back, you had family surrounding you, weeks and months later, how really did your loss impact your faith and your faith in God?
Oh, girl, let me tell you. I knew the day I went home from the hospital, because they gave me the option to stay at the hospital longer, and I was just like, my baby's leaving here, so let me leave here too. And so the day I got home, like the heaviness that was in my chest, I knew that there was nobody but God that was going to be able to get me through that. And so in the beginning, like I was saying, how I was very involved in church and I was ashamed and things like that. So I had started a ministry called Endless Love. Started as a book club, and then I turned it into an at-home Bible study. So before I was pregnant, I was doing that, and so then I stopped because I felt like it wasn't producing the results that I thought it should, and so I kind of went back into living my life the way I was wanted to. But after losing Caleb, it was like a wake-up call for me. The moment I got pregnant with Caleb was a wake-up call for me, like, you're not grown, you need to grow up, you need to get your life together. And so I feel like God was with me from the beginning to this point, but I just knew that he was the only one that was going to be able to get me through it, that he was going to be the only one to pull me out of it. And so I started doing Endless Love again. I started maybe like a few months afterwards. I started doing my in-home Bible study. So what helped me heal was just getting back into God's word and then encouraging and empowering others as well. And not just so much, you lost, your child, but also let me tell you who God is. And yes, I'm experiencing this loss, but God is able, and I believe that he's able. And so just standing on his word and his foundation. Because, I don't see how I would have got through without God. And I think the loss of Caleb, I feel like even though he's not here, he had purpose in my life. And it brought me to so many other different revelations about myself, about my family, about, the woman that God needed me to be. So I wouldn't wish a loss like that on anybody, but I feel like for me, it was necessary to put me in a place that God needed me. I hate that it happened. If I could go back, I would want it to, but I just feel like, that Caleb has purpose. He's still serving purpose in my life. And so it has definitely made me closer to God. And it's definitely made me want others to be just as close to God.
Awesome. So can you tell me about any resources that are out there, resources that you use during your loss and just for other sisters in loss and other pregnancy loss moms?
Something I did was I did counseling through my church for a little while.
Okay.
And so I really didn't realize how many women had experienced that until after I shared my story. So I really didn't have any resources to go to or anything like that. So that's how I kind of made myself available to other women who experience. And I still do. 5 years later, women will reach out to me and just want to talk to me. And I will try and help them navigate the system of maybe going to get counseling or therapy that can help best meet their needs. But for me at that time, I really just didn't have any resource outside of my counseling with my spiritual leader. And then just getting in my word and my foundation and just learning bit by bit. And so in the area that I'm in, there are pregnancy centers and things like that. I'm not for sure how many of them actually talk about pregnancy loss. I kind of feel like pregnancy loss is a taboo to discuss. So I found some women on Instagram who kind of share their stories as well. But that's what kind of helped me to get to that. Oh, and reading. Let me tell you, girl. I read T.D. Jakes. I was reading Priscilla Shire. I stayed in my word. I stayed in those books. And those were really, really helped me stay focused and come to terms with it. I think I accepted it head on and I didn't reject it. And I think that helped me also in the process of being able to go through my healing process. And something I always say to women who call me and want to talk about, their experience is that for me, the healing journey is going to be continuous. Some days I will be completely fine. Last year was a good year for me. this year I've had some moments. I know it's only March, but I've had some moments of like, oh, I'm supposed to have a 5-year-old this year. And, I haven't had the opportunity to be blessed with my rainbow baby yet. And so, some days it gets hard because you're like, is that going to be my only child? Or, so I have different thoughts. But the healing process, I feel like you have to heal in moments as they come. So it's never ending.
I completely agree with everything you just said. So what books can you recommend? You mentioned T.D. Jakes and Priscilla Schreier. You have one or two of those books from those authors that you can recommend to the ladies?
I wish I had them right in front of me. No, let's see. What was Priscilla Schreier? So there was it's a small book by T.D. Jakes. Oh, I can't think of the name of it now. And it's an older book. It's called Why? Because You're Anointed. That was one of the books that I read by T.D. Jakes. And Priscilla Schreier, they did a movie about this book.
You're talking about the I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the movie right now either.
But it's a book about praying and things like that.
Yeah, it's called Fervent.
Yes,
you're talking about Priscilla Schreier's Fervent, correct? Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah.
It was based on the movie War Room. Yes.
And another T.D. Jakes books that I read was Woman Thou Art Loose.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome books. All are good books. And in our Sisters-in-Law's Facebook group, we read in January Priscilla Schreier's Discerning the Voice of God. So those all go hand in hand. all of the books that we mentioned all kind of piggyback on one another. So definitely I'll make sure I put links in the description and in our show notes about those books, because those are awesome books for your healing journey in general. I mean, you can read it now and still be blessed.
That is so true. Definitely.
So what encouraging words can you give the moms that are out there who are ready to try again, who are in a position like you, who've had an incompetent cervix and they're ready to go to that next step and try again for their rainbow baby?
So what I would say, from my own personal experience, so I am still single, and so I am not interested in going through that experience without my husband, without my God, and so I'm in a process of waiting for God to answer my prayers and do what He said that He's going to do. And so if there was any woman that's in my position as waiting, I would just tell her to trust in the process and don't give up. You'll have days of where you're thinking, is it ever going to happen for me? But God's words will come to pass, and He will surely do what He said He's going to do. And so it's better to wait than to rush, because when you rush and you take it into your own hands, it happens in a way that you wouldn't want it to. But there's so much beauty in the wait. So learn yourself, growing yourself, continue to grow closer to God, and that when the time comes, it will happen. And I surely believe that. 5 years later, some days I'm like, okay, is it going to happen? I'm almost 30. I'm getting to that itch mark. But I definitely believe that God is going to do exactly what He said He's going to do. And so that I would just encourage my sisters to do the same and just to trust God, because one thing's for sure, that Ty Tripp's song, if He did it before, He's going to do it again. And so there's so many other promises that God has already answered for us, right? And it may not have happened in the time we wanted Him to, but He still answered our prayers. And so this is a prayer that will be answered. It's not going to go unanswered. Our job to wait and to grow and to get better, and to hang on to God's word. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. So do you have any other events or that you have going on with your Endless Love group? Is that still going on?
So Endless Love, I don't do the Bible studies anymore just because of my scheduling. But recently, a few women have actually hit me up like, yo, when are we going to do this again? So if I get into works, then I'll reach out and let you know. But right now, there is a Facebook group called Endless Love where I still post in there encouragement, and I encourage other women to post in there as well. So that's kind of how I stay connected with the women that were coming to the Bible studies or women who couldn't come to the Bible studies. I just created a Facebook group. It is a closed group, so that women can share what they want to share and feel comfortable in doing that. And just posting that encouragement for women. And I try to post in there daily. That doesn't always always happen, but it's just different things to help us get through day to day.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for being on the podcast. Can you share with everyone where we can find you on social, your website, and then where your book is going to be found again?
So my website is CourtneyArlesia.com, and Arlesia is spelled Arlesia. My Instagram name is Courtney.Arlesia. Facebook, you can find me at Courtney Arlesia Art Endless Love. And then my book, you can order that now at CourtneyArlesia.com. It will be available on all sites, so Amazon, Kindle, and then you can still purchase it from our website as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Courtney, again for being on the podcast and sharing your story and sharing your light. And everybody go out and purchase her book.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I pray that this show was inspirational and a blessing to you. For show notes, visit ericamcafee.com/podcast. Please join us in our offline discussions in our private Facebook group by going to sistersinloss.com. If you're listening in Apple Podcasts, please rate and subscribe to us and leave us a 5-star review. I pray that you all have a blessed week. Keep the faith, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday.